I want to explain to you something about the energy now. And listen, obviously, we're dealing with it since the 7th of October, 2023. But the energy of Pisces is going to trigger us in a way that we're going to feel victimized and a lack of control or lack of an ability to change the reality. And actually, it's a month, tonight is Purim, that first of all, we need to have tomorrow night. I mean, we have that energy that we need to tap into the energy of certainty. What does it mean? That at the end of the day, when we see things like that, I'm not saying that it's something that needs, of course, it's something that needs to be resolved, and we need to do whatever we can do to talk, to bring it up, not to be afraid, to be proud of who we are. But what does it mean to be proud of being a Jew? What does it mean to be proud of it? Like pride sounds like ego. So what? Because we're special? That's sometimes why people hate us so much, because we think we are like the chosen people, and we have that. What is it really about? The pride is opposite to fear. I'm not gonna let fear control my life. I'm not gonna hide because I'm afraid. This is one. The other thing is we need to have certainty that even if something looks like it's the end of the world and chaotic, listen, in the time of the Megillah, think about it. Haman wanted to do a Holocaust. That's what he wanted. And there was already a decree that was signed to kill all the Jews. But it was changed. It was completely, Venafo means it became opposite. Why? Because of the unity. Now, even if I believe that as a people, the only way we learn is through chaos, I'm not the only one that believes it. All our stories in history where people want to kill us, we fight them, God saves us, we win, and they go away. But we can stop that cycle of hatred. How? By understanding, first of all, that the physical reality is an illusion. Why do we cover on Purim? Why do we have masks? Because it's to actually emphasize the fact that we live in a world that is an illusion. And pain feels very real, but even pain at the end of the day exists only in this physical realm. So what is the work when we see the protesters? It brings fear, it brings anger, it brings feeling of victimhood. But what we need to do is, first of all, to say, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not letting myself be scared of it. I need to think, what is the work that I can do that somewhere like if I don't do it, brings chaos. So what is my role as a Jewish person? I have a role. I can't let fear or war consciousness be a part of who I am, even though it comes naturally sometimes. I need to know that even if those emotions come, fear, anger, I want to be above it, and I want to do my work as a Jew. My work, whatever it means for me to be a person that is a channel of light, of peace, of love. It's not political. It's spiritual. What is your take on it?
Wow. So I wanna welcome Rachel, and it's always such an honor and such a synergy that we have when we get together and kind of like discuss some of the things that are going on, and we're discussing what's going on in the universities in Columbia and in UCLA, and what that's bringing up for us specifically during this month. It's a time of a feeling of being unsure, of being vulnerable, and the job is to find certainty in the unknown. That's basically the job of this month of Adar. The energy of this month is to find certainty in the unknown.
Yeah.
And there are so many unknowns that are happening to us that are here. And ultimately, I love what you said is like, yes, what are things that are going on outside of us? But what is my contribution that I can make? Because that's the only thing that I really have control over, is really what I decide to do with it. And we were discussing the other evening on the class on Purim that the main mitzvah of Purim is ad lo yada, is to go to a level of not knowing, where we go to a place of not knowing. That's like, how can we find joy there? How can we? That's fear. That's anxiety. That's not knowing the outcome. That's not having control. How can I ever be joyous or feel trust when I'm in a state of not feeling trust, right? I would imagine, Megan, giving birth and, I mean, I've been there by 10 births. Thank God, Kenai where my wife, but I was there and like going into that unknown. But in many ways, we are all birthed. We are being birthed right now during this period in time in history where things are accelerated. They're going on so fast. Things are happening, and whoa. And Risha, I'd love to delve into this lunar eclipse, which is happening. It's happening on Purim itself.
Yeah.
I've got some thoughts about it and how that relates, because in Judaism, the Talmud says it's not a good sign when we have a lunar eclipse for the Jew.
I don't want to believe.
I'm saying no. I'm just throwing that out there because people are. But
Yeah,
what can you tell us about the eclipse? And also, it's in Virgo, which is the opposite of Pisces, right?
It's always like that. The eclipse that happens not in the Rosh Chodesh, in the first day of the month, is always going to be an opposite.
The opposite. Okay.
Okay. They're really, it's astronomy, from perspective of an astronomy, that's the only way we can really cover the moon from getting the light of the sun, because Earth is in the middle. They're exactly oppositing. But I'll tell you something about it. First of all, it's perfect because the whole idea of adeloya, the not knowing, which is very Virgo related. For Virgos, the way to know and to feel safe is to see. Show me. I want to see how it's going to happen, how it's going to unfold. And even if we talk about the things that are happening in the world right now, right? There's a feeling that how is it going to change? I mean, I don't see how it's changing. So, but the work with Virgo is to say, I trust even if I don't see. I know that I'm tested sometimes. And again, it's not that God tests us. It's something that we want to go through because we want to learn virtues in this lifetime. And the virtue that is related to this eclipse is a virtue of certainty. It's understanding that when we are in the unknown, which is the easiest place to go to fear, to go to lack of trust, to want to control the situation. This is the place where we do ad lo yada. What is ad lo yada? It's to drink until you don't know the difference between good and bad. Why? Because in the physical reality, there is good and bad, but in the spiritual realities, it's not that. There's no such a thing as good and bad in the spiritual realities.
That's why they have the same numerology. Arur Haman and Baruch Mordechai, cursed is Haman, and blessed is Mordechai, is the same numerology.
Crazy. It's amazing because it's there to teach us that at the end of the day, there's no difference. Good and bad are only things that exist in this physical world. So even if things look to us, given what's happening in Columbia University, right? It looks bad. At the end of the day, Gamzula Tova, we need to know everything happens for the best. And there's no really good and bad. Everything is an opportunity for us to learn something, to grow through it. And when we live, when we ground ourselves to the moment, to the time, to the here and now, we also have an opportunity to connect to the totality, to the creator, because the only place that the creator exists is here and now. And if we understand that there's no such a thing as good and bad, I don't have to understand everything. I don't need to know what's going to come. And also, where am I benefiting from that place that I'm a victim in the situation? Where does it feel, oh, we are the victims? Like, where does it something that serve me to feel there? At the end of the day, it's really an inner work of understanding that the process right now is to know that what we see is an illusion. We live in an illusionary reality. It's like a simulation like a video game. And we just need to learn from it and grow from it and understand that our only source is the creator, not politicians, not the heads of the universities, and not that idiot that is hopefully going to be deported. But it's not about that. Our source is the creator. And in times like that, this is really what we're called to do. And this is really the energy of this eclipse, to understand that it's knowing, which is the Virgo, the scientific need to understand, the way that is very physically oriented, but it's covered. It's covered. That part is covered, is because it calls us to find our real source of safety, our real source of protection, our real source of strength. And this is only the creator.
Yeah. It's almost like before we go to the next level in things in life, so the level above us is called darkness, because what we know now is, for us, is at least we're aware of it and there's light. But there's a level above us which is dark, right? And that's why if we look directly at the sun, we're not going to see, yellow, we're going to see black, because it's so intense. And talking about this eclipse, the eclipse, the darkening, basically is basically calling to go to a deeper and a higher place of the unknown, which is this place of darkness. And as we evolve in life, like, we make our mistakes, and then there's above that, there's the next level, but the next level is the unknown, and it's basically darkness. So at that point, we are triggered very that the triggers that we're used to is the triggers that are used to keeping us small, in a small place, in a reactive place that we're used to. And I love what you said about seeing the bigger picture, because the only way to grow beyond a trigger is not to fight it more, and to push harder at it, and to cause its influence to be louder, right? That's the opposite. It's actually seeing the bigger picture, seeing that that we are a part of the bigger picture, that we're able to receive from, we're able to draw from something bigger than ourselves. But that's unknown, what we're receiving from ourselves. The trigger is something that we do know, right? Yeah, that I know that when you say this to me, then I react in this way. And when that happens, then that happens. And then this happens, and it's just like this dance of the known, of the familiar known. And as we're evolving as individuals and as a humanity and as a collective, we're evolving to new forms of communication, new forms of connections that we could have with God, with ourselves primarily, and then with the people around us, which is really the result of that connection that we have with Hashem.
Yeah.
and that we have that connection within us. But there's a major unknown of how am I going to get there? What am I going to know? You're not going to know anything. You're just going to transcend your limitation of what you think that you know, that trigger.
Right. It's like sometimes I talk to people in America, it's very different. Obviously, I grew up in Israel. And in Israel, when you're 18, you go to the army, right? And then after the army, you have a lot of time. You don't have to rush. And when I talk with even my own children, but other people that are 17, 18 in America, everybody wants to know what you want to do, where are you going to go to school, what are your prospects? Now, the energy of the United States is energy of Cancer. It means that there's always that feeling that I need to make sure that I'm fulfilled, that I'm safe, that things are known, that I'm not in a place that I'm not going to get my fulfillment.
Pleasure, comfort.
Right, because of the emotion, the need for comfort for the Cancer comes from the need to have an emotional sense of comfort, right? It's the moon and all that stuff. So why am I saying it? Because culturally, we are taught that you always have to know what's coming, what's the next level, and not like just go with the flow. Now, growing up in Israel, there was a different type of, and I grew up Sephardic, less worried as the Ashkenazi side of, right? But like when I would ask mom, she would say, Elohim Gadol, God is great, don't worry, things are gonna be okay. And I have to say that I feel that, thank God, my mom, it's funny, I'm talking about her a lot today. It wasn't maybe because of the energy of the eclipse, but at the end of the day, the eclipse, the moon is the mother. But because of that, I feel that as a culture, we feel that it's almost like stupid not to plan, stupid not to understand, stupid not to prepare yourself, irresponsible not to be ready for things. And somewhere, again, or the other side of it is carelessness. What, I'm not careless, I'm going to make sure. But when we get consumed in the circumstances of the physical reality, it's very hard to go out and to zoom out of the story. But when you really look at it from even historical level, we have Purim. We have the Holocaust that, I mean, yes, a lot happened, but so many nations tried to eliminate us, to kill us, to hurt us, and they disappeared. Right, but
they will be also.
But they themselves disappeared, and we stayed.
Yeah.
Because the world, I don't want to sound, but the world needs us, and there's no way that we can't be as a people in this earth. We have a very important role. So when things like that happen, it's just there to push us to do our work. It's just there to push us to be united. You know how many people in Israel, and you know probably even better than I do, but I follow a lot of Israelis on social media, became observant because of what happened, started keeping things, started people that were proudly secular and like fighting against religion started to put tefillin on, a lot of times through chaos comes unity. But what we need to learn as a people is that we can transcend, like we don't have to always have chaos to be connected to our purpose and to be unified. Why can't we do it when things are nice?
Yeah.
Because as a people, when things are nice, we want just to make money. Let's be honest. I mean, you're not going to put that in the video, but as people, we want success, we want money, we want comfort, we want nice things, we want to be influential. But if we're not connected to our real higher purpose, that's what happened. But if we're going to now learn from that, and when things are good and easy, we're not going to go back to complacency, and we're going to still have the urgency and the diligence to do our spiritual work. This is where when we're not going to need any more chaos.
Exactly. And that's the thought I had about this eclipse. Um, to do the work from a place of light, to do the work from a place of goodness, because right away we think about how is it going to turn out? It's not going to turn out well. How is it not going to turn out well? What are the scenarios that are going to be? And our brain is already just like it's a super computer that can just analyze and know. And even if it doesn't, you don't know that you're thinking it subconsciously, you are thinking it, and it's causing, all types of stress and anxiety, etc. So to be aware of to be aware that the going into the unknown doesn't have to be a lonely and dark place to be. Like, it's when we know that we are actually going with Hashem, we're going with God, because God, as you were saying before, is above light and dark. So God is with me in the dark and in the light. So if he's with me in the dark and in the light, so he could also be in the light. That means that I can come from the place of light. And there's a teaching, we say the Shema twice a day. When we go to sleep and when we wake up. So the nighttime represents, we say the Shema, the Shema represents the unity that we eat in the place of darkness, we unify Hashem, that God is found in a place of darkness. We know that. But that's not the only time we say the Shema. The Shema is also read while it is daytime. So while it's daytime and everything is, the sun is out, the birds are chirping, it's a fresh new day, and obviously God is one, but no, we affirm God's oneness, even in that place of light and in place of clarity, to teach us that our job is to keep on affirming God's unity in more and more good that is there, that is right, that God really wants to give to us. It's not just getting us out of the rut. God, please help me. Okay, thank you. Like the famous joke where someone can't find a parking spot, and and just as he's praying, God, please send me a parking spot. I promise I'll give charity, whatever. I'll put on tefillin, whatever it is. And then as he's saying it, he sees like an empty spot. He's like, no worries, God, I got it. Right? and,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of times what we do. When things are hard, we're calling out to him. But when we got it, don't worry, God, I'm good.
Because we feel that like we need, like when we're lacking, right? Like when we're lacking, when we're in a difficulty, all of a sudden we feel, oh, wait, I need help, or it's hard. When everything is good, we say, no, it's okay, right? But I think that at the end of the day, the illusion is that we're not with the Creator,
Right.
or that the Creator is not with us. The Creator is always with us. The Creator is always there. We're never separated from the Creator. We are never without. We're never alone. We're always with the Creator. We never left the Creator. The physical reality makes us feel that illusion as if we left, as if we don't have it, but it's always there. And in every situation, everything that happens in our lives, we walk with the Creator. It's not, when we feel separated, it's because our mind is perceiving it like that. But even like you said, even in times that everything is good, even in times everything is not so good, that we are always with the Creator. And I think that's a very powerful thing to remember, even when it comes to that eclipse, right? Because the Pisces connects to totality. Pisces is energy overall one. That's why some Pisces have problems with setting boundaries, because they don't know where they end and the other person begins, right? To understand the totality, but not as something that is like boundaryless when in a negative way. It's boundaryless in a positive way. We're all part of the same thing.
So,
And
so
go ahead.
there's a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, according to the Arizal. Actually, it's a meditation in the mikvah, because the mikvah is yam. It's like an ocean, right? And so the meditation is, I mean, it's obviously longer than this, but just the point that actually you were saying and really relates to it is that mina meitzar means constriction. And Mitzrayim is Meitzar Yam. Mitzrayim is the constriction of the ocean, of being constricted in the expansiveness, right? That the ocean becomes constricted, Meitzar. And the way to break out of it in this meditation is to think about the letters Mi. Mi means who. Mi Yam. And to basically to get out of the constriction by asking me, like, who is this? And where is this going? And the mi yam, those two letters, which actually spells mayim, right? Which is water together, is this breaking out of the constriction. So the month of Pisces is a month of water. It's a month of like the fish in the ocean that's in this great ocean, but the ocean receives from the well springs from the Mayanot, which then flow into the river, and then the rivers separate into separate deltas, and they seem like they're fizzling out. But then they eventually catch up back in the ocean. And there's that completeness, that completeness that's there, that becomes whole, that becomes unified. So just the feeling that I got from understanding the energy of this month of Pisces is this level of surety that we can embrace this unknown, that we can embrace this level, going back to, because the ocean is unknown, really, right? The ocean is unknown. We know more about the stars than we know about the ocean. And what kind of species live there and how deep the ocean really goes to, completely vast. And so, and yet when we're in the ocean and we merge with it, then we're one with it. But we can't understand it.
Yeah.
When we're in the water, in the mikvah, in when we're swimming and we're one with the water, there's no separation between us and that vastness, right? Adelo yada, that not knowing becomes, right, something that we can then pour all of those parts of ourselves, the fragmented parts of ourselves, the triggered, all of those parts, they go back into that wholeness, and that's the only place that they're going to get healed from.
Yeah. And the whole thing about knowing or not knowing, even when we think we know, how much do we really know? Even when we plan, how many things can happen against our plan? The place to understand that I have the permission to do planning, there's no problem, but I need to always remember that knowing or not knowing is not a part of the equation. I need to do things that I feel are the right things to do, but I always have to be ready for, in the Israeli army, it's called baltam, bilti metuchnan. Things that are not planned can happen. And at the end of the day, everything that happens in my life, planned or unplanned, there's a big picture for it. And I am able to go through it through learning what I need to learn. And in this world, the כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד. It's like this world is a narrow bridge between lives and worlds, and each and every one of us, what is 100 years compared to eternity? We need to understand that we need to have the right proportion of what's happening here, and not to let fear consume us, because worrying and thinking and over needing to plan eventually is led by fear. And fear is always the opposite of the creator. The creator is only love. The creator is not fear. So if we operate from a place of love and understanding that even when things look like very scary, like, those protesters and all, at the end of the day, I am choosing not to let fear consume me. I'm choosing to trust. I'm choosing to know that everything that happened, I'm protected by the creator. And that's it. To choose where I want to go. I can choose what I feel. I can choose how I think. A lot of times it's just to say, I can believe in that. I can believe it's bad. I can believe it's dangerous. I can believe that I'm protected from this danger and my kids are protected from this danger. Again, it's not from a place of a selfish thing. It's from a place of, once I bring a negative thought, my reality is going to adapt and adjust according to my thoughts. So why not to think positive?
Exactly. Love that.
Right,
all right, Rachel. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Marcy, any questions? Megan?
Oh, well, my question was just, I was actually interested. I mean, it's a big question, like the astrology around that October 7th. I really,
Oh,
was
wow.
there
I remember your post, Rachel, on that.
Was there a way of seeing that? And then I guess I'm also interested in the of what this year holds, because clearly, at least in the United States, it's just taken off this year. It's like, I don't know. I was in London in December and now it's the middle of March, and like just everything is just flying and so much is just happening. It's just wild.
Yes, it's I can't get into all the astrological stuff right now, but I'm just gonna say that the October 7th had a very volatile energy and and in the chart of Israel, there was a Uranus energy that was on the sun, which is like things had to change. That's it. And whatever in Hebrew, when I was growing up, they used to say, whatever doesn't, whatever doesn't go with brain goes with strength. And not single, but it's as totality, the people the Israelis, the people who, I don't think it should be on the thing, but they were really losing their way. They needed something very intense and unfortunate.
Verge of
separation. They were about to separate to two different
crazy. Yeah.
Really bad.
Crazy.
And Uranus basically said, listen, if you don't change, I'm going to change you in a hard way. That's what happened then. And when it comes to America, listen, there's still the Pluto energy that is related to what happened when America was established, when everything was signed. But at the end of the day, that was the last time
Pluto was in.
Yeah, Pluto returned. Pluto goes back to the place it was, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. It changes, but it's changes that in the big picture are supposed to move us to the next level, the whole world, not only the United States.
It's happening.
What I would say is always think about the positive things that are going to come out of it. Don't let fear, even if a lot of people are going to that place, influence you. Right. You need to know what you can control and what you can't control. And what you can control right now is to do your spiritual work, bring wisdom, bring the light of the Creator to the world. And when you do that, this is the only thing you can control. And this is what's going to give you the sense of safety, because you're going to do what you can do. You can't do what other people need to do. And this is really the point right now. Changes in the big picture, you know that nothing happens without the permission of the Creator. Everything that happens on earth, even though we as people are the manifestors, if it wasn't supposed to happen, we wouldn't have that ability, that situation. So things are supposed to happen. And the only question that we need to ask is, what is it for me to learn? How can I be a channel to bring light of the Creator to the situation? And remember that it's all an illusion at the end of the day. That's it. It's an illusion that is a lesson for me to learn. I feel it for me personally. A lot of times when things like that happen, I'm just telling myself, what do you think your higher self would want you to learn right now? So with the Colombia stuff, fearlessness, trust, knowing this, and I have kids in colleges, and yes, they experienced a lot, but at the end of the day, for some reason, they had to go through it. My son, my oldest son that went through a lot in October 7th, became so much more connected to his Jewishness and to the Creator and to Israel. And I raised them with a very strong affiliation, but that made him even more strongly connected. Each person has a personal tikkun, and as people, we have our general tikkun is to be connected to our higher purposes. Jewish people, as a personal tikkun, I think a lot of it has to do with certainty, with trust in the Creator, with knowing that there's just a lesson for me here. What is the lesson? That's it. All right, I really have to go because I'm
Amazing. Thank you, Rachel. Always such a
Thank you.
pleasure. Really
Many
such a pleasure.
Thank you.
And want to wish you a beautiful, amazing Purim, joyous
Good
Adar
news.
Yada. May we experience a little microcosm of the redemption in our lives
Amen, amen,
and
amen, amen.
and witness all the good things